Matthew 13:1. The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside. Mark 4 begins, and he began again to teach by the seaside. Luke 8. And when many people were gathered together and were come to him out of every city, he spoke by a parable. So Luke just says when many people were gathered. So it doesn't say where he is, and I know I want to begin with that. So Mark, he began again to teach by the seaside. So the fact that he began to teach by the seaside, then there was multitudes, then he got into the ship. I have to say he was teaching by the seaside first. So by the seaside has to be the first thing mentioned. But before he began to teach by the seaside is that he sat by the seaside from Matthew. The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside. Maybe I could put the same day went Jesus out of the house, sat, and began to teach from Mark, and then both by the seaside. Or maybe I could put sat by the seaside and began to teach. So that way the setting is immediately clear. You got to start out right away. Jesus went out and sat by the seaside and began to teach. That way you can get the mental picture. He's by the seaside and he's teaching. And then I could say from Luke, and when many people were gathered together, because he's teaching, and then there was gathered to him a great multitude from Mark. And when many people were gathered together, and there was a multitude, he went into a ship. Okay, so starting from Matthew, the same day, he began to teach. Should I have and from Mark? And the same day? Or just the same day when Jesus? Now, I'll say and because I'll have that and sat by the sea later. Beginning with Matthew, the same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside. I knew that's going to come first. You know what? I can make this its own sentence. Because sat by the seaside, that's the end of the verse. I can still say by the seaside is in both. Now, I can continue on with Mark, and he began to teach. And he began again to teach. I already used by the seaside, so now I have to put in that there are multitudes gathering. Matthew continues, and great multitudes were gathered together to him. Mark says, and there was gathered to him a great multitude. Luke, and when many people were gathered together, that actually fits the most. The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside, and he began to teach. And when many people were gathered, and great multitudes. Yeah, I can do that. And when many people were gathered, and great multitudes were around him, he had to go into the boat. Yeah. So, and when. So I know to teach. And I could say this and is from all three. But I'll start with just Luke, and I'll combine it later if it works. And when many people were gathered. Matthew says great multitudes were gathered. Mark says there was gathered to him a great multitude. I know, I could say, and when many people were gathered to him, a great multitude, he went into a ship. Yeah. Both Matthew and Mark say, so that he entered into a ship. So that he went into a ship. Yeah. So I could pick Matthew and Mark's way, just saying many people were there so that he went into a ship. Or I could do Luke's way, when many people were gathered, he went into a ship. I like how Luke says it, and when many people were gathered, because that shows a process, that it didn't just start like that. It's not just like, boom, people are there. It's gathering when many people, that it's reached a certain point. That's when he got into the ship. It's not just, he sat down by the seaside, many people were there, so he got into a boat. Yeah, I understand that, but he didn't get into the boat right away. Because, why? There must have been fewer people at a certain point in time. So I like how Luke says it. When many people were there, at a certain point in time, he went into a ship. When many people were gathered together to him. Maybe I could say, and when many people and a great multitude were gathered together to him. Or, and when many people were gathered together to him, a great multitude, he went into a ship. I'm going to have, and when many people were gathered together. And then at the end, a great multitude, because that's the main point. Because now there is a great multitude, he got into a ship. So, Luke, and when many people gathered together. Oh, look, from Luke it says, and were come to him out of every city. So I could say, and a great multitude were come to him out of every city. Then he went into, or I could say, and when many people gathered together, and were come to him out of every city, a great multitude. Nah, where to put a great multitude? No, I'll have, and a great multitude were come to him out of every city. So that means I need to continue with, and when many people were gathered together to him. Were is also in Matthew. Gathered together, that's Luke. Mark, gathered to him. So gathered is in Mark. Gathered is in Matthew. So all three gathered. Gathered. Now together, orange, Matthew, Luke. And then I know I want to put to him. Actually, wait. Because to him is in the next sentence in Luke, where I know I'm going to say, and a great multitude were come to him. No, I can put it either way. And when many people were gathered together to him, and a great multitude were come from every city, come of every city. Yeah, that works. Mark. Gathered together to him. Okay, both Mark and Matthew say gathered to him. So yeah, that's how I'll put it. Gathered together to him. Those words are in all three, so I'll say it's all three, but it's the order of Matthew, Mark. And we're gathered together to him. Now I know I want to put, and a great multitude were come out of every city. Yeah, and is in Luke. A great multitude is in Mark. Matthew, and great multitudes. And is Matthew and Luke, so orange. Was it great multitudes, or was it a great multitude? What was the first situation I had this? It was way earlier. Let me find it. But when Jesus knew it, he withdrew himself from there with his disciples to the sea, and great multitudes from Galilee followed him. At that point, I went with great multitudes, not a great multitude. He should have a larger following now, so perhaps maybe I should change that to a great multitude, and then have what I'm dealing with now be great multitudes to show that, like I said, more people are following him now. So I'm going to change this, a great multitude from Galilee. Now more people are following him, so many people were gathered together to him, and great multitudes. A great multitude is in Mark here. That's kind of backwards. It doesn't matter. It's later on in his ministry. He's more famous now. He's got more followers. So just great multitudes. So that is Mark, great. Matthew, great multitudes. That's Matthew. Okay, so it is Matthew as well. Matthew, Mark, Luke. Nope, it's not there. Luke just says many people. But I already put that here, so I'm just going with Matthew. But it's Matthew and Mark, great multitudes. I can just change the S as I did earlier. Say that's Matthew only. And great multitudes were come to him out of every city. That's it. Now this is Luke only. Were come to him out of every city. He went into, that's what I was going to do. He went into, not so that. I'll take so that out, because it makes more sense to say, and when many people, instead of just multitudes were gathered. I'm going to have to leave out so that from both Matthew and Mark, because it won't fit grammatically. I mean, imagine this. And when many people were gathered together to him, and great multitudes were come to him out of every city, so that he went into a ship. Nope, doesn't make sense. It's got to be, and when. That's the important sentence-changing word. When many people were gathered together to him, and great multitudes were come to him out of every city, he went into a ship. When this, he did that. It could be both if I take out the when. But remember, I want to have the when because it's a process of people gathering. It's a better mental picture. When many people were gathered, meaning at that time, once they've reached critical mass, he's got to do something, change it up. He gets into a ship. So I'm choosing the when over so that. If I was going to put so that, I would have to kick out this word when. They can't both be there. I'm going with this one.